Good evening, Michigan Avenue parents, guardians, and students. This is Mr. Acciona. I wanted to share with you this brief information about our return to school plan. If you have looked over the countywide plan for return to school, you may have not been able to align certain elements from that plan to how it will apply at Michigan Avenue. So this is the information that's specific to Michigan Avenue Elementary.
All right, again, this is the information that we will have synthesized from the 51-page district COVID-19 task force document that was released about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago for the public viewing. We were asked to create a plan that is specific to our school, and this is the specific plan for Michigan Avenue Elementary. Of course, we would always love to have things be back to the way they were prior. So that is our hope, is that we can get as close back to normal as we can. However, we want to make sure that students are safe. So these are the elements that will kind of guide us in that safe return to school. First off, I want to talk about the morning arrival to school. You can see kind of an aerial view of the school there. There will be two locations that students will be going to in the morning. One is either the gym entrance, that's primarily for bus riders, or the majority of our students will go to the main entrance. At both locations, they will experience the same kind of protocols. At both locations, teachers or students will have their temperatures checked by a staff member, and then they will sanitize their hands with a liquid hand sanitizer before they enter the building. The doors will kind of be open so that students don't have to actually touch the door handles, and they'll report to one of two locations between 7 o'clock and 7:15. They'll either go to the gym or the cafeteria. Students who go to the gym will have plenty of space between them and the people in front of them and behind them, and will kind of spread out. If students go to the cafeteria, we are expecting them to remain in the cafeteria from 7 o'clock or whenever they arrive until they're dismissed to go to class. Inside the cafeteria, students will actually be socially distanced as well. And at 7:15, we will move all kindergarten, first, and second grade students from the gym to the hallway. So if we have students in the gym that are in kindergarten, first, or second, around 7:15, we'll just have them report to the hallway, where we will have areas marked off in that hallway outside their classrooms. They give distance between each student, and they'll just be seated there until the start of the school day at 7:35. At 7:35, then we'll have all students report to the classroom, and so from 7:15 to 7:35, only third, fourth, and fifth graders will be in the gym. We'll have some in the cafeteria socially distanced, and then some in this back hallway for where our kindergarten, first, and second grade classes are, and they'll be socially distanced there. If students should arrive to school late, they'll need to be walked in by a guardian, but they'll stop at the buzz-in doors, which is in the front foyer. The parent will sign an identification that the student is arriving and the time, and there will be instructions for that on a table out there. And then they'll ring the doorbell. Miss ARP in the main office will allow the student only to come in, and the student is to report to the main office, where Miss ARP will take their temperature, and then if they're okay, they'll send them on to class. Inside the classroom, students will be in small groups we're going to call cohorts. So the cohort students will be seated in kind of the same general area, still some social distancing happening there, but there'll be even larger distances between them and other cohorts. When they're working inside the classroom, the cohort is the group that they will stay with. Only those 6, 7, 8, 9, no more than 10 students will be in a cohort. And the teachers will keep up with the seating chart to identify the students in the cohort. Every time the student enters or exits the room, he or she will sanitize their hands. And as I said, they'll work cooperatively with those cohort groups. And later you'll see they'll also be in lunchroom, will be grouped according to those cohorts as well. Inside of the classroom, there will not be general use supplies. We're going to have teachers narrow down the supplies to the individual. So if students are using pencils or markers or anything like that, they are that student's particular supplies. Common use items in related arts classes will be sanitized between each group that they see. So for instance, in the the computer lab, the keyboards and the mice that are used for our computers will utilize covers for those, and those covers will be changed between the classes, and so that'll help with contact cross-contamination there. Percussion and music theory will be the primary music study in Miss Rogers' music class. And Miss Rogers has done research also, as have the other music teachers in the county, to identify that playing wind instruments or singing is an excellent way to spread the virus. And we're wanting to mitigate that spread. So Miss Rogers has redone her lesson plans to only include percussion instruments, and the mallets will be cleaned between the groups. PE will focus on some more outdoor activities and individualized elements with limited use of equipment. And library books will undergo a quarantine if students take them and check them out. When they're returned, there will be a quarantine of the book for a certain amount of time, and then it'll be reshelved and available for other checkout. Some sanitation of those books will occur as well. Student backpacks that are in the classroom will need to be socially distanced so they're not touching. So if your teacher utilizes hooks, then he or she may choose to hang the one backpack on the floor, and then the one that would hang on the opposite hook may perhaps be on the ground, or the backpacks are also kept according to the cohorts. So if they have to touch at all, it'll be because they're in the same cohort group. When students leave the classroom as a group, we're also going to block the doors open so they don't have to touch the door handles. And we're going to utilize, in the lower grades, instructional rugs may be replaced with different type of seating arrangement that will allow for more space between the students. Or we may actually divide the class in half, where some remain seated at their tables or desks, and others are allowed to come up on the instructional rug area and have more space to spread out. Our teachers will be provided with face shields, and they may use those. They may also wear masks at different times, especially when they're in close proximity to students in small groups or in individualized instruction. I'm encouraging all students and all faculty and staff to please wear their own personal protective equipment. So wearing face shields or masks may be something that students are allowed or may choose to do as well. They'll certainly be allowed to do it and are in fact encouraged to do that. We're encouraging them to bring masks from home. We do have a limited supply of masks. However, those will be utilized if a student has to be placed in quarantine or in a holding area because they're demonstrating symptoms. So we would want to reserve those masks primarily for those students if that case should arise. I'm encouraging students to bring their own masks, though. The desk will be sanitized daily in the classrooms, and this will happen in the evenings, but may happen also throughout the day. And to mitigate the spread, we're having students remain in their same locations. In 4th and 5th grade, they'll remain in the same rooms, and the teachers will actually change. Instead of as in years past, the students have changed classrooms. So that'll be one way they can remain in their same location. In the building, we're going to really encourage students to do what they've done for years, and that is to stay on the blue lines. What we're finding is that the CDC and now the APA, the American Pediatric Association, is identifying that minimal distance between face-to-face contact should be at least 3 feet. If students are passing each other in the hall and they are staying on the blue lines, each one on their respective blue line, then that gives them at least 4 feet between each other as they pass. If they have a mask on, that also helps, with a variety of things. But this is what we're going to really have students try to adhere to this year, not just for orderly movement through the hall, but also for the safety of our students. We have been instructed that we're going to have to close down all water fountains for students to be able to use. So we're asking parents to make sure that your student has a clear water bottle. I'm researching currently to see if we can get clear water bottles ordered for all the students and here in time. But and we are also in the process of changing out 4 water fountains with water bottle filling stations. However, those are on back order, and as soon as they come in, we'll get them installed and have various places where students can fill their water bottles. Until that time, though, we're going to probably have to shut off drinking fountains because they do require the students to touch the fountain, and then sometimes there's a concern of contact on the faucet itself. So we want to make sure that we mitigate that too. Students will sanitize their hands before and after recess. So again, that's a time when they would go out of the class and then return to the class. So we will do that. And then in the lunchroom is going to be our biggest challenge as far as making sure that we can socially distance students. So we're going to have students remain in their cohorts from their classes. They'll have an assigned seat for lunch, and those small cohorts will be kept separated at the tables. Students entering numbers on the keypads, we won't be doing that anymore. We'll actually have a barcode system and a scanner system. So when the student comes up, he or she will tell their names to the cashier. The cashier will then know that the barcode coordinates with that particular student on a page that they have from their class and be able to charge their lunch account that way. We're also not wanting students to touch milks. So when they come through the line, they'll request what type of milk they would like. And then one of our cafeteria servers, who will all be wearing personal protective equipment, they'll pass the milk to the student, that particular type of milk, so that students are not touching multiple milks in the milk cooler. We'll be using disposable plates and silverware for the foreseeable future. And if we see that social distancing in the lunchroom is problematic, we may be looking at a rotation of students eating in their classrooms so that we can provide more space. Again, this is one of the things that we will probably have to adjust when we see how our lunch schedule works out. We have put time in there to account for social distancing and cleaning. So we'll just have to look at that, but that is a possibility as we return, that students may have to eat in their class one day a week. There are other protocols that we're going to be looking at. The first is that visitors to campus must have an appointment, and they'll be subject to the same screening that our faculty and staff will undergo, which includes not only a temperature check, but also a questionnaire identifying exposure and symptoms. So that is one thing that we will do with all visitors that come. Visitors' mobility in the building will be limited, and at this time, because we cannot accommodate more people in the cafeteria, there will not be the opportunity for parents to come and eat with their children during the day. I know that's an element in elementary school that's always a highlight for many parents, being able to stop and go have lunch with their child. We just cannot afford the space at this point in time. And then also the protocols that visitors must undergo. So we're asking that not be observed this year until further notice. Also, no outside food may be distributed to students this time. But if you do have a child that is celebrating a birthday, then you may purchase ice cream for the entire class for that same purpose, for that child's birthday, and celebrate them. So that is a change as well. During the day, if we do identify that a student is distributing or is displaying rather symptoms that are congruent with COVID-19, Ms. Pulliam, our school nurse, will evaluate them, and then if they need to be picked up, they will be placed in an area to be isolated from other students for a time until a parent or guardian can come and pick them up. All persons on campus are encouraged to wear protective gear, including teachers and staff members, and you will see that among our staff and faculty and students as well. We encourage them to wear those, wear masks and so forth. The primary focus of our funding, I want to let everyone know this as well, in the coming year and for the foreseeable future, will be to move to a one-to-one device count for our school. And this is in response to the need perhaps to be in remote learning. We need more devices inside the building, so I wanted to let you know that instructional funding and some fundraising and all those elements will be dedicated primarily to getting more Chromebooks and also perhaps a few laptops into the building for student use, for student use at this point in time. We want you to know that along the way in all of our planning and everything, that our priorities have always remained the safety, the care, and the education of all of our students. And there hopefully will be a day when our classes can look similar to what you're seeing on the pictures. But the start of this 2021 school year will not look like that for students. And I wanted parents and students both to be aware of that. I also want to let you know that if you have questions or concerns, that I'm available to you. Please take a moment, sit down and email me. Be happy to respond to you that way.
As we continue to work diligently to prepare for students' return in the next few weeks, please understand that we know that some of these protocols will be fluid. There will be changes and adjustments that will have to be made along the way. In that process, please understand that we are always looking out for the safety, care, and education of all the students in our charge. Thank you for your support, and thanks for your time and attention this evening. Have a nice evening.